All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Community Development and Transportation Committee meeting for September 24th, 2024. Our elected officials present: Mayor Kurt Wilson, Councilmember Christine Hall, Councilmember Alan Sells, Councilmember David Johnson, Councilmember Sarah Beeson, Councilmember G. Lee Hills, Councilmember William Morthland. I'm Randy Knighton, the city administrator, joined with David Davidson, the city attorney, and Michelle Miller, who is the deputy city clerk and executive assistant to the council. The purpose of these committee meetings are for city departments to convey information to mayor and city council and to discuss items listed on the published agenda, as well as provide vital information essential for government operations. And by ordinance, the committee consists of mayor and council and the city administrator, who serves as chair. This is a public meeting, but not a public hearing. Therefore, while the meeting is open to the public, we do not take public comments or questions unless specifically authorized by mayor and council. And we do take public comments on the second and fourth Monday of each month in city council meetings, as well as on the fifth Monday in open forum. We do encourage residents to engage our online platforms, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We also encourage the viewing audience to visit the city's website for additional departmental information and visit Roswell365.com for a calendar of events. We also encourage you to access the city web service portal and the Roswell app to report any issues or concerns. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the Community Development and Transportation Committee meeting of August 27th, 2024. Do we have a motion? Motion by Councilmember Johnson, second by Councilmember Beeson. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, thank you. That passes unanimously. We will note for the record that under community development, we show no action items. Under transportation, item number 2 is listed on the agenda: consideration to approve the Pine Grove Road concept. Mr. Littlefield, Mr. Nicholas, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Knighton. Good evening, Mayor and Council. First of all, I just want to apologize. There's a few things that we're going to talk about that are a little bit different than what's in your packet, and I'll go over that part when we get to it. And the reason it's different is we were brainstorming pretty much all week trying to figure out the best way to bring certain aspects of this project related to safety and traffic calming ahead of the 2 to 2.5 years that it would take for the entire project to be delivered. So I'll make sure that I explain what's different and then answer any questions based on that. So thank you very much, and we'll get started. A little bit of background: staff is seeking approval on the proposed concept to improve Pine Grove Road, or to approve Pine Grove Road from Chickering Parkway to Mimosa Boulevard. The draft concept of the T-Splosh project was shown at an in-person public information meeting held on July 16th, 2024. And then comments on the concept were also received through an online survey between July 16th and July 31st. Some of the improvements that are proposed for the Pine Grove Road corridor: an 8 to 10 foot multi-use trail on the north side of Pine Grove Road from Lake Charles Drive to Mimosa Boulevard, an 8 foot to 10 foot multi-use trail on the south side of Pine Grove Road from Chickering Parkway to Lake Charles Drive. That changes just based on price. It could change in design, but right now that's pretty much the most logical place to cross. But we'll go over that a little more. But right now it's topo, it's property that's affected, so we're changing the side to basically lower the cost. It also includes roundabouts at the North Coleman Road and Pine Grove Road, and also Shallowford Road and Pine Grove Road. Reduces lanes, 10-foot travel lanes throughout the corridor. It implements 4-foot bike lanes in the uphill direction between Shallowford Road and Lake Charles Drive, with bike sharrows in the downhill direction. There will be raised intersection at Lake Charles Drive, and also raised crosswalks in multiple locations with RFBs where design allows. And those aren't fully determined. Some of it will depend on where there's crosswalks and sidewalks across the street, so we have to make sure they have a place to go to. But we'll do some raised crosswalks to get people from the other side of the multi-use trail to the multi-use trail in a safe manner. There'll be a 5-foot grass landscape buffer between back of curb and multi-use trail, and also landscaping and pedestrian lighting throughout the corridor. This is just the map that shows, we're just going to go through a series of maps going from the Cobb County side east towards Mimosa Boulevard. This is just showing the roundabout at Shallowford. You can see the multi-use trail goes from Chickering Parkway to the left. Resurfacing of the project will be from the county line all the way to Mimosa. So we're not going to stop resurfacing at this lane. We're going to go all the way to the county line so we don't have a section of road that's only a couple hundred feet of bad road. The reason it's not kind of congruent with the rest of it is this was actually posed as a question to see if people had interest in a roundabout at this location, and there was interest. And so it was posed as a separate question, and that's why it's on a separate board from what is in the rest of your packet. So as we move towards the east, you can see the Chickering Lake Drive, basically just getting a multi-use trail on that south side. Keep on moving to the east, just basically multi-use trail. The purple that you see are driveways that need to be adjusted to keep the ADA slopes and things like that. Then you hit Hightower and Waterford Way. Pretty much the same. It possibly could be raised, but where it's offset, it might pose a challenge. So that's yet to be seen. Hunter Hill and Hunter Hill Road Drive, that might be a good location for a mid-block crossing potentially. Sorry, I'm backed up there. Lake Charles and Pine Ridge Way, that will be a raised intersection. When we go to design, you can see the crosswalks that are painted in there. When we go to design, we'll figure out the best way based on sight distance and things like that to cross. There's been some potential for maybe a diagonal crossing where all traffic has to stop when somebody hits the button for the ped crossing. But that will be worked out in design, but that is being looked at. So multiple ways to cross, or multiple options for crossing, only one way to cross. Yeah. Just moving towards Mimosa, you see the multi-use trail now is on the north side. Here's the North Coleman roundabout proposal here. And then we're moving towards where it switches to Magnolia Street. And then we finally hit Mimosa Boulevard with the multi-use trail staying on the north side. Financial impacts. The current T-SPLOST budget for this project is $14.8 million, which was the initial estimated cost from 2021. Since 2021, GDOT has seen a 90% cost increase. That is average across projects. I think we've got a few statements from the commissioner of GDOT. Resurfacing prices have increased by 80%. The cost of a dual lane roundabout is up 114%. But kind of an average as things have gone up, and that's why you're looking at a cost now of about $20.7 million. The estimate includes engineering, right-of-way acquisition, construction, and also a 20% contingency. Next steps, staff is requesting approval of the proposed concept as presented and authorization to increase the project budget by an additional $6 million to bring the total project budget to $20.8 million. Funds, we propose that funds would be removed from the Old Ellis Extension Project allocated in T-SPLOST 2, and those allocations were for right-of-way, so it wasn't for construction. And I do have a map that will show you what that project is. It was a concept that went along with the Sun Valley extension. And once Sun Valley came on board, it really wasn't needed as much. Old Ellis, it just didn't serve as good of a purpose as they thought that they felt the need was there. So that's why it's just kind of been sitting there, kind of dead in the water for quite a while. Staff is planning to break out, and this is where it's changing from your packet. We originally had the North Coleman roundabout at Pine Grove as the only breakout, but we thought it would be nice to have a bookend for the project to kind of slow traffic down in the beginning, slow traffic down at the end, and vice versa, depending on the morning and afternoon traffic. So we brainstormed it and we came up with the plan to have a phase 1A and a phase 1B that would go on basically concurrently. So they'll be designed concurrently, and they would be either led as separate projects, and that's yet to be determined. A lot of that will depend on the market when we go to construction in, say, 14 to 18 months. There is potential to, like I said, bulk them together and just have one large project, which typically volume gets you a lower price. But if there's a need for work, say in another year or so, it might be better to break them out into two projects and have a little competitive bidding on both projects. So that's what we're doing is to move forward with a phase 1A and phase 1B. We assume that or predict that design and right-of-way acquisitions for phase 1A and 1B will occur concurrently, and will take approximately 14 to 18 months in design and right-of-way purchase, and then we can start turning dirt. The remaining corridor improvements would be phase 2, and that would basically be the middle section. So from North Coleman to the Chickering Lakes Drive. So it'd be that section would be multi-use trail, raised crosswalks, the raised intersection, and also adding the bike lanes. This is just a map so you can kind of get a better understanding of the phase 1A and phase 1B. I said it does show it all the way to the county line, and that's because we are resurfacing all the way to the county line. The multi-use trail will stop at Chickering Parkway, which is the last entrance before you hit Cobb County at the Chickering subdivision. And then like phase 2 is the remainder of the project, and that phase 2 is in itself probably close to 2 miles long. So it's a decent sized project all by itself. Is there any questions? I know there was a lot, and it is different from what you have in your packet. At least the phasing's different. Everything else should pretty much be the same. Yes, sir.
Mayor Wilson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, my only comment is, Jeff, thank you. I know you and your team and Greg have put a tremendous amount of work into this. This is a project that's going to be great for the city of Roswell. It's going to be great for addressing the most active area of speeding in our city. This project has a lot of intents, and I'm going to let Councilmember Johnson and Councilmember Hall address that here in a minute. And I want to say a special thank you also not only to you and to Greg and the rest of your team, but a special thank you to Councilmember Christine Hall and Councilmember David Johnson for their tremendous work over the last several months of helping to put this project together. Very excited about it, so thank you guys.
Thank you. Other Councilmember Hall?
I just want to echo that. I'm really, really excited that we can get this going kind of in short order. Short order. It seems like forever, 14 months, but short order for us. And addressing basically the two biggest issues, or where we can address the traffic calming on both ends. And it's just, thank you so much for coming up with 1B instead of just having phase 1 and phase 2. And it makes so much sense to do it this way, I think. And I think the residents will give some grace, understanding the number of properties in phase 2 that you have to acquire property from and work with homeowners, and that's why that will take longer versus 1A and 1B with limited amount of property owners. But thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Beeson?
Since you're moving to the 3-phase approach versus the original 2-phase, I realize these projects haven't been let yet, so you don't really have hard and fast estimates, but do you foresee a cost increase or a cost savings moving to a three-phase versus a two-phase approach?
If we separate the designers, there could be a slight increase in design costs, but I would anticipate a cheaper construction cost, just based on the fact that those projects won't be done when the phase two is actually let for construction. So if you've got one project, one contractor doing both projects, chances are they'll give you a better price in the middle portion. Now, if you've got two contractors working, then you might even get a better price than that for construction, trying to just vie for work, because it is phase two is actually a pretty large project, and you're adding bike lanes, so you could get some pretty favorable construction costs, but the design could be more, yes.
With the design being more, you think it would be offset on the construction phasing process?
I think it will be. Could be to the good, we don't know.
You don't have pricing
obviously,
yet.
But it could honestly be to the good. Asphalt prices, things like that, will get a better price. Concrete, multi-use trail price, you'd probably get a better price.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Further questions, comments? Yes, Councilmember Johnson.
I just want to say, Jeff, thank you for answering my phone calls. About over 8,000 times
All
I've called
8
you
billion of them.
over this road that I've driven like 7 times in my life. So, but this is an entry into our city. I drive, when I go to Northside Cherokee, I drive on Rucker Road and Alpharetta a lot. It's, a beautiful road. I hope that this road looks like that, and I think it will. I have full faith in you that it will. And, this, I don't want to speak for everyone, but we have said numerous times that we want to slow down the cars in Roswell on a heavy residential road, and this is the start of that. And I'm looking forward to doing that on many roads across Roswell in the future.
David, why don't you tell everybody about the data? You've got the data, share with the data on what's happening.
Jeff knows it better than me, but I think Pine Grove is speed limit's 35, average speed or the 85th percentile is 55 miles an hour.
50, it's about 20 miles over the speed
over.
limit is the 80.
And that's pretty much for both. It's divided in 2 sections. That's pretty much the same.
And then it's just high
high
volume of traffic and a lot of speeding.
Yeah, North Coleman, there's plenty of accidents at North Coleman and Pine Grove. It's not honestly, I don't know if I ever drove on this road except when I was running for office to go knock on doors. And then, now that we've gone through this project, I've driven on it more times than not, and it's not a great road. Like, it's windy, it's wide, and you can speed on it, and it's a dangerous road, and I understand every citizen's complaint about this. And I'll also say, if citizens are listening, like, it doesn't move fast either. I wish we could be building this, in a year. It's not. It's going to be a 3-year project, 2 to 3 year project. So be patient with us, and best traffic calming might be a bulldozer in the middle of the road. So,
Bunch of cones.
yeah.
Yes, Councilmember Hills.
Thank you, Mr. Knighton. In the spirit of expedience, while Phase 1A and B are going on, you all will be working on the acquisition for land or right-of-way or improvements to
Oh, yeah.
ready Phase 2, right? It's not a finish the Phase 1B, A and B, and then go. It'll be.
Phase 2's not stopped. It's still going to be designed. There's just so many more parcels for right-of-way
Right.
acquisition that it just takes time. Whereas when you're doing just the roundabout, you've got a handful around the roundabout and then the spurs that come off of it.
Perfect.
So, but it will be under design. It'll just take that much longer to acquire the right-of-way.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, further questions or comments? Okay. Councilmember Beeson?
Going back to the old Ellis Road connector, it's my understanding that that was originally a request because of UPS having shipments and running their routes originally out of that area. And the reason why we no longer have that high demand there is because they rerouted otherwise. To your point, Sun Valley is now an option. Is there any loss to residents who are in that area? Is there a significant number of residents who will be negatively impacted by no longer doing the old Ellis Road connector?
This is the proposal. So as you can see, Sun Valley is here. It was supposed to be a roundabout, and then tying in UPS would be just off the page to the top right. I think it originally was thought there would be a need for it, because of businesses like UPS, high volume of traffic. They did route around it because it wasn't there. And then since then, Sun Valley did come on board. And so it just doesn't seem to be the need that maybe it was once thought that it needed to be.
So there's not a significant loss to residents in the area. I mean, just looking at this map alone, it routes directly into a large industrial facility, which is the UPS hub. And then it's also routing directly through the Folkiller Creek shed. So you're actually avoiding having to engineer a roadway through a creek shed at the
It
same
would be a
time.
pretry expensive project with bridging and things like that.
And environmental impacts, yep.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Councilmember Johnson?
And I'll also just say, that is something we can do in the future, T-SPOS projects if it turns out to be a need.
If it turns
But
out to be a need.
this was a good use of I appreciate Mayor Wilson and Councilwoman Hall. Good Lord. Kurt, you're rubbing off on me. Yeah. I appreciate, in the meeting, talking about moving these funds and the support for that so that we can get Pine Grove moving at a better road for the dollar, if that makes sense. And one legal question, since Ola's extension was a T-SPOS 2 project, and when we make the motion to approve this, do we need to make the motion to remove that off of the T-SPOS 2?
It just won't have funds in it, but I don't think it has to be removed. Although we wouldn't have any intent to probably move forward with it.
If they're both T-SPOS 2, if you're funding one, the money's just there.
Okay.
So it just won't be funded.
Any further comments or questions? Sorry, David turned off my microphone. Yeah. All right. Motion by Councilmember Johnson, second by Councilmember Enthusiastic, second by Councilmember Hall. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Comment by Councilmember Hall. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. I just wanted to add that this Pine Grove corridor was one of the top 1, 2, or 3, 4 items that were approved by voters under the T-SPOS. So wonderful that it's getting done.
All right. Thank you very much. Item number 3 is listed on the agenda under administration is a consideration of the 2025 calendar of mayor and council and committee meetings. You have in your packet and obviously on the screen the proposed dates for council committee meetings, obviously holidays listed as a part of the proposal. And there are several things to consider with respect to holidays and moving from Memorial Day, for instance, to a Tuesday, which has been done previously, and then Columbus Day as well as October, moving that to a Tuesday, and a couple of other items with respect to Tuesdays for Veterans Day as well. So I'm assuming everybody's had an opportunity to at least review the calendar and or formulate any thoughts or questions or comments related to what is proposed before you. Any question, thoughts? Councilmember Hills.
Thank you, Mr. Knighton. It looks like it's pretty much everything that we did last year, or I should say this year, but we've got to make a decision for November. Is that correct? Whether we move that Veterans Day
Right.
meeting to the Monday prior or the Wednesday after?
That's correct.
That's the only
yes.
decision if we.
Right.
if-
That's an outstanding item. That is correct. Either the Monday or the Tuesday or combined.
I would recommend Monday.
The 10th.
I'm sorry. You can confirm that. Mr. Knight,
Yes.
question on 22nd, 29th.
22nd and 29th of December. I'm sorry. Yes, the 22nd and 29th. That is correct, because currently the council meeting would be scheduled for, naturally would be scheduled for the 22nd. We're looking at December. Would naturally be scheduled for the 22nd. And then committee naturally would be scheduled for the 23rd. December, we're looking at December, yes. So the natural council meeting would be on the 4th, Monday, which would be the 22nd, and the natural committee meeting would be on the 23rd. So what would be the pleasure of the council, which could be to address that particular date? Yes, Councilmember Beeson.
Going back, did we settle the November, moving the November committee meeting to Monday?
We went to December, but
That's why I'm just, well, because we started on November. I didn't hear a consensus on it, and then we just cruised right on into December, so.
10th and 11th?
Yeah.
the November,
So
she's
I'm
referencing.
gonna
November.
guess that, my guess is that the city staff would probably like to have it on Wednesday versus Monday, because they'd probably like to take advantage of a 4-day weekend there, that would be my guess.
They don't have the Monday off. We're already here on Monday, so we're doing a council meeting that night.
Oh,
Right.
So I think Councilmember Hills, Councilmember Sells, and myself are in agreement and want to make sure the rest of the group is in concurrence, and Councilmember Johnson, to do it on the same day as the 10th.
yeah.
Have the mayor and
Stack
council
up.
meeting.
Like what we're
and-
doing in
And
2
the committee
weeks.
meeting at 5 and 7
Correct.
on the 10th, November 10th.
Thumbs up.
Is that consensus of everyone? Everybody good? Okay, all right. And then for December, again, the 22nd and 23rd would be in question with respect to the natural course of meetings, which would be the 22nd and 23rd. With, of course, the Christmas holidays on the 24th and 25th. So there's a question there. Yes, Councilmember Hills.
Didn't we cancel last year?
Yes,
Since it's gonna be my last council meeting,
yes.
I think I want to do one on the 29th, the 30th, and the 31st of December.
Can you make that a special call?
Quorum of one, yes.
We'll revoke the quorum, and it's just the mayor that night. You could go to open mic.
That's right, they'll be all 3 nights.
I would recommend canceling the 22nd, 23rd, 29th, and 30th.
Yeah, kill the 22nd.
All right, all right. 22, 23rd, and 29. Understand. Just wanted to obviously, it's presented, and that's it, that is correct from last, that's consistent with last year.
Yeah, one councilman and one.
Yeah. So,
No committee meeting, just
right,
the 9th is canceled, right?
no.
Oh, everything's the 9th.
Yeah, the 8th and 9th would be the natural council and committee meetings. And then what I understand and what I hear is canceling 22, 23, and 29, consistent with what has been done, I believe, last year. Okay? And there's consensus there? All right, so with that, any further questions or comments? Motion? Is that a motion? Okay, question. Yes, Councilmember Beeson.
Final comment. I know that this time last year, we had added what's dubbed the Spring Day holiday on the 18th, which for all intents and purposes is Good Friday. Just want to renew my request with the understanding that I will still be voting yes on this regardless. If not on this calendar, for the 2025 calendar, at least moving forward, considering adding the Juneteenth holiday. I know that's something that we had previously discussed last year when we were doing the calendar, and it was also a discussion around the time of Juneteenth the previous year. But just acknowledging the fact that it is a federal holiday and it's not currently recognized here in the city. However, it is recognized by several surrounding municipalities.
All right, thank you. All right, any further question or comment? Councilmember Hills?
Yes, Mr. Knighton, can you refresh me or tap somebody that could? We have one floating holiday, 2 floating holidays? How many do our employees get?
Have one floating, was it one?
Okay,
One
so we
floating
already
holiday.
have something that could cover any kind of additional holiday without incurring expense on the city side.
Right,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Further question or comment? Seeing none, we'll ask for a motion to move this item forward. Motion by Councilmember Johnson, Second by Councilmember Sells. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All right, we'll move this item forward accordingly. Thank you very much. Item number 4 is listed on the agenda, consideration to approve the replacement of artificial field turf at Roswell Area Park Multi-Sport Field 1. Consideration for the mayor and/or city administrator to award contracts with Field Turf USA in the amount of $720,340 and a total budget authorization of $828,391, presented by Director Malone.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Knighton. This project replaces the last of the remaining artificial turf fields, which is multi-sport field number 1 at Roswell Area Park. This is the 7th field out of 7 that we've replaced. This project is part of the broader bond initiative aimed at upgrading city parks and recreation facilities. Our tentative timeline would be a start date in or around November 20th of this year. Completion, construction timeline would estimate at about 10 weeks, with a completion no later than February 1, 2025. This timing is critical to the operations of the program. It aligns with field downtime, minimizing disruption to the sports programming, and then maximizing the usage efficiency once it's completed.
All right.
Happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, sir. Questions or comments for this item? Yes, Councilmember Beeson?
Correct me if I'm wrong, this is the exact same product that we've used on the other previous field replacements, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Looking at the specs on this, I realize it's, so, as an aside, I'm not 100% sold on artificial turf fields. However, this does assuage some of my concerns. I know that one of the concerns I gave with the previous discussion for the Groveway fields was one of the environmental issues is PFAS, which is an emerging contaminant identified by the EPA. At the time, Mr. Leatherman, who I believe was the Rec and Parks Director at the time, provided me with a letter from the manufacturer that said that they had third-party testing that showed that there was no PFAS present at all in the third-party lab testing, which I would like to request that that letter be included as a supplementary item in our council meeting, because it was done by third-party testing. Another issue is the creation of heat islands or significant increase of heat, but this one's assuaged by the Cool Play, specifically the Cool Play design, because it's intended to reduce the amount of heat and therefore the amount of off-gassing that's created with these products. A lot of times you have kids burning up on the field because it's super hot. You're playing really on top of concrete with carpet on it. But in this sense, the Cool Play design I know has eliminated that, which eliminated some of the off-gassing. One of the outstanding concerns I still had was the infill. Is this recycled tire infill? Do you know?
It's the crumb rubber, yes.
But is the crumb rubber sourced from recycled tire?
It is, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'll have to get back to you.
If you could just look into that,
Yeah.
that would be my only outstanding concern. Crumb rubber is not inherently a negative, but when it's sourced from recycled tires, it picks up some heavy metals on the roads. Then you're pulverizing it, which exposes the heavy metals, and then you have people like my 4-year-old who play in it and get it all over them. So just want to make sure that we're assuaging those concerns. But otherwise, my big 2 other environmental concerns are assuaged through the design of the product and the third-party testing.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Northland?
I remember this conversation last time, and it seemed like we had gone to that third-party group and gotten clarification that they cryogenically freeze this rubber to take any kind of contaminants out. So I do remember what she's referencing. But this field is the last field, correct? And
That's correct.
It is in dire need. We go out and use this field all the time. The last time that we did these projects and we stacked them right there at the end of the fall season before the spring season, the contractor was able to come through for us and make sure that there was no disruption. I cannot remember, is this the same contractor that did the last one?
Yes, sir, it is.
So they did great work. They did fantastic work. Are we doing the insignia in the middle of the field again?
Yes, sir, that's the intent.
That's the intent. And this, I didn't see it. Are we doing fences as well, or is
This includes all the replacement of the carpet, fencing, netting, and all of that goes into that product, including the field goals.
All right, very good. No, this contractor has proven themselves from the last set of products that we've put in front of them. I mean, the folks, the feedback that I've gotten both from the adult side as well as the children's side, I mean, Roswell's fields are just top notch, so fantastic.
Councilmember Hall.
Thank you. And maybe you can remind me, is this a new product that we've been using just on the previous 6 fields, a product that we hadn't used? And there was a lot of talk about the cool play, and then I understood that the cool play wasn't that effective, and there was a lot of heat out there on the Groveway fields, or I'm not sure if it was there. Can you just speak to that and why we're continuing with the same one, or if it's proven to be terrific?
So Field Turf is the contractor that we're going with. The turf products continually change year over year. So the products we're seeing today versus what we saw in 2013 when we installed the first turf fields have significantly changed just from a product line. The cool play that you're talking about from the top dressing, that is actually not included in this project. We pulled the infill product without cool play dressing in this product specifically because of the analysis of it did not substantially decrease the heat volume on the fields.
Just flagging, it's what's included on packet page 26. It says furnish and install cool play, 60 pounds.
So if you look above that line item with the highlighted 720, that's an add alternate line item, if I'm not mistaken of what you're looking for. In the agenda item packet, it is specifically layered without.
Got it, okay. So given Councilmember Hall's question, then do we know the difference in temperature based on what the product they're going to be using?
Well, the product that we're using, so we went with Cool Play on one field to test the product. When we put that on the one field, we compared it to the field adjacent to it at East Roswell. It did not show a significant decrease in heat. Based on the cost that comes with it, which we left in the packet just so you saw the dollar amount that comes with it, didn't see a substantial return on investment based on that dollar amount with no heat reduction on the field surface.
Just to follow
Councilmember Hall.
up.
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, just to follow up. I understood that there were several choices of products, and we're staying with the same one that you did on Field 1 because you like it and it's performing, and we just chose not to look at others, or we...
Yes, ma'am. Based on our research and analysis, that was the best product we had available.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Morthland.
I've also heard of environmentally friendly fields, and we did some of those aspects when it comes to this turf, the infill, and instead of using chrome rubber, using cork, using bamboo, using, I don't know, coconut husks and all kind of things. And for anybody that's interested in that conversation, Georgia Tech did the study. They had this on their field, and after a couple of years, they decided to rip the field up because all the natural fibers started decomposing and growing mushrooms. So that is a good reason to use what you were recommending instead of farming mushrooms in the middle of a soccer game or lacrosse or football or whatever else is out there.
All right, thank you. Any further questions or comments? All right, seeing none, we'll entertain a motion. Motion by Councilmember Hills, second by Councilmember Morthland. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All right, that moves forward unanimously. Thank you very much. The next item is listed on the agenda, item number 5, consideration to award the Liberty Square Park contract with Columbia Engineering in the amount of $238,790.50 with a total budget authorization of $262,669.50. Mr. Malone.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate the opportunity to present this item to you tonight. The first conversation I always like to have is the why. Why Liberty Square Park? You know, as we look at the potential for this project and this grant opportunity, it brings to the value of can this area be revitalized through some crucial stormwater improvements, stream bank restoration, and enhanced amenities that ultimately are going to benefit the residents and the visitors. By improving the connectivity to nearby neighborhoods and the Big Creek Greenway, the project will encourage outdoor activity and strengthen the community tie. This initiative will also serve as a model for future developments, potentially promoting economic growth and environmental stewardship in this region. Real quick, that's just the location as you see as its close proximity to Holcomb Bridge Road and Georgia 400. This grant is being provided through the Governor's Office of Planning and Budget and presents a significant opportunity to revitalize Liberty Square Park, again, through those stormwater improvements, stream bank restorations, connectivity, and the overall park amenities. The grant will enable critical improvements to the 4-acre park, which serves as the cornerstone for larger city initiatives such as Big Creek Greenway, multi-use trail connectivity, and the future Big Creek Parkway. Some of the project objectives, and these are just a few of the photos that are on site. There's the stormwater improvement component. This addresses existing issues, including pipe repairs and replacement to improve the stormwater management systems on site. Stream bank restoration, you'll see in the bottom left-hand photo right there. There's the implementation for restoration efforts to stabilize and protect the park's natural waterways that run through that property. Additionally, there would be the park enhancements. Those would be the improvements that would both improve the functionality and aesthetics of the park while increasing its value to the residents and the visitors alike. To give you a little look into the broader role in connectivity, this project could play a pivotal role in the larger connectivity goals within the city, linking Liberty Square Park with the nearby neighborhoods, the Big Creek Greenway, and the upcoming Big Creek Parkway. This gives you a little bit of an overview. Liberty Square Park recreation area in the yellow box and showing you where that new Big Creek Parkway trajectory takes us. These enhancements will improve pedestrian and cyclist access to surrounding areas and create a more cohesive network of green spaces and multi-use trails. This gives you a little overview of the project timeline and deliverables. In October of 2022, the resolution was approved to submit for the grant. The grant agreement was signed in June of 2023, and tonight we're bringing it back for the design elements. If approved, it would move forward and approved at the October 15th meeting. We would have design kickoff. You would look at about an 8 to 10 month design time frame. I think it is critical to mention that, as with all city projects, the design process would follow a structured approach with key milestones at that 30, 60, 90% intervals. These checkpoints would allow and ensure that the project remains in alignment with Mayor and Council's vision and expectations, which would allow for adjustments and improvements based on your feedback. If moved forward, the groundbreaking and potential construction timeline would last 10 to 12 months with substantial completion by the end of 2026. So this grant and the revitalization project is a crucial step forward in not only improving Liberty Square Park, but also the future city's broader goals of connectivity, environmental stewardship, and enhance the public spaces. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about this project.
Thank you, Mr. Malone. Any questions or comments? Seeing none. Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion. Motion by Councilmember Hills, second by Councilmember Beeson. Any further comments? All in favor? Okay, all right. Thank you very much. That passes.
Thank you all, appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Malone, thank you very much. And then the last item on our agenda is listed under Public Safety Police. We have consideration for a resolution to apply for and accept the FY 2024 Justice Assistant Grant from the U.S. Department of Justice, and this is related to the city's continuing efforts to address crimes against vulnerable victims, crimes against children. So, Chief Conroy, please.
All right, good evening. This is a resolution to apply for and accept the 2024 JAG grant, Justice Assistant Grant from the U.S. Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistance. This is one of those grants that we do receive each year. This year's grant is in the amount of $23,256. We're proposing that the funds go to the Internet Crimes Against Children Unit for digital forensic evidence processing. The total amount of our project is $24,250. The difference of $994 would come from the CID Equipment Fund, and this is to purchase a server, some monitors, a computer, a Faraday box, and adjacent peripherals for equipment that will be used for Internet Crimes Against Children, as well as processing phones that are downloaded for evidence.
All right. Any questions or comments for, yes, Councilmember Hills?
Thank you, Chief, for bringing this. This is very familiar. I believe we've had the same ask the last 2 years, or somewhere in this vicinity of dollars, right?
So I think over the past 5 years, it's close to about the same amount. It's typically right under $25,000. There's a level of crime that's required for us to get above $25,000 for the annual grants. We're typically under 25.
Good and bad, that's great, but my follow-up was going to be, how do we ask for more money? So
Correct.
I appreciate the station where we are, so thank you for answering that for me.
All right, thank you. Any further questions or comments related to this item? All right, seeing none, we will entertain a motion. Motion by Councilmember Beeson, second by Councilmember Hills. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All right. Well, that does conclude our committee meeting for this evening. We'll entertain a motion of adjournment. Motion by Councilmember Morthland, second by Councilmember Johnson. All in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. We do have one item for each council member for your information and your information only.